It happens in a split second. A toy is taken away, a simple no is said, or a transition happens just a little too fast, and suddenly your sweet child transforms. The hitting starts, the screaming pierces the air. Maybe there's biting, kicking, or throwing. In that moment, your own heart rate spikes. Your palms might get sweaty, and your immediate biological instinct as a parent is to stop the chaos. You want to punish the behavior, to issue a consequence, to make sure they know once and for all that this is absolutely not okay. But here is the uncomfortable truth, one backed by decades of neurobiology and child psychology. When we meet a child's aggression with traditional punishment, we aren't actually fixing the behavior. We're simply silencing the symptom while the internal fire continues to grow. We are putting a lid on a boiling pot without turning off the stove. To truly change how our children behave, we have to move away from the question of, how do I punish this, and toward a much more powerful question, how do I build the emotional intelligence they are clearly lacking? By the end of our time together today, you will understand exactly what is happening inside your child's brain during these terrifying outbursts. You will learn why your current discipline methods might actually be fueling the fire. And I will give you a concrete, 3-step psychological framework to transform these moments of rage into opportunities for profound connection and lifelong emotional intelligence. You will leave with practical tools to transform the atmosphere of your home from one of constant battle to one of mutual respect and calm. To change the behavior, we first have to understand the hardware. Think of your child's brain like a house that is still under construction. This house has an upstairs and a downstairs. The upstairs brain, or the prefrontal cortex, is where logic, empathy, problem-solving, and self-control live. This is the part of the brain we want our children to use. However, the downstairs brain, which includes the amygdala and the limbic system, is the survival center. It is responsible for the primal fight or flight response. When a child becomes aggressive, they aren't being bad in a moral sense. In psychological terms, they have flipped their lid. Their upstairs brain has officially gone offline. The connection between logic and action has been severed, and the downstairs brain, the primitive reactive part, has taken full control. This is a neurological disorganization. You cannot reason with a downstairs brain. If a tiger were chasing you in the jungle and someone started lecturing you on your manners or your tone of voice, would it help? Of course not. Your child's nervous system perceives a no or a lost toy as a literal threat to their safety. Aggression is simply a primitive, unrefined attempt to feel safe and powerful again when they feel small and overwhelmed. So why is our go-to move as parents usually punishment? Why do we reach for timeouts, the removal of privileges, or even shouting? It's because we're human, and we want immediate compliance. And let's be honest, fear works in the short term. Punishment might stop the hitting in that exact moment because the child is scared of the consequence. But let's look at the long-term psychological cost. When a child is already in a state of fight or flight and we add a threat like punishment, we are pouring gasoline on a neurological fire. First, it spikes cortisol. High levels of stress hormones make it physically and biologically harder for the brain to learn new, better behaviors. Second, it shuts down learning. The brain cannot move from the reactive downstairs to the logical upstairs if it feels attacked or shamed. Third, and perhaps most importantly, it teaches that might is right. By using our superior power to suppress their behavior, we subconsciously validate the very idea that started the aggression, that the person with the most power gets to decide how things go. If we want to stop aggression for good, we have to view it as a skill deficit. Your child doesn't lack discipline, they lack emotional intelligence, or EQ. They don't know how to handle the massive, scary feeling vibrating inside their chest. They don't have the words yet, so they use their fists. Here is how we begin to build that missing skill. The shift starts with something called co-regulation. This is the mirror effect.
Children do not have the neurological wiring to calm themselves down from a peak state yet. They borrow your nervous system to find their balance. If you're screaming, "Calm down," your child's brain sees a second person in fight mode, which only confirms that the situation is a crisis. You must be the calm to their storm. This means breathing deeply, lowering your voice to a whisper, and softening your eyes. You are signaling to their amygdala, "You are safe. I am in control of myself, so you don't have to be in control of the world right now." Once the intensity begins to drop, we use a technique called name it to tame it. When a child is starting to peak, or even in the quiet minutes after an outburst, help them label the feeling. You might say, "You're so frustrated that the tower fell," or "You're angry that it's time to leave the park." Research shows that the simple act of labeling an emotion moves the electrical activity from the emotional downstairs brain back to the logical upstairs. It creates a neurological bridge. You are giving them a word to use next time instead of a physical strike. The final part of this framework is saying yes to the feeling, but no to the behavior. This is the heart of high EQ parenting. You must validate the emotion while holding a firm, immovable boundary on the action. You say, "It is okay to feel mad. Every human feels mad sometimes, but it is not okay to hit. I am going to move your hands, or I am going to move my body to keep us both safe." By doing this, you're not shaming the child for having a human emotion. You're teaching them that emotions are acceptable, but our responses to them is where our true power lies. Building this kind of intelligence is a long game. It isn't a one-time fix. To lower the overall baseline of aggression in your home, you need to model your own emotional intelligence. Talk about your big feelings during calm times. Tell them, "I felt really frustrated at traffic today, so I took 3 deep breaths to help my body feel better." When they see you practicing what you preach, they learn more than 1,000 lectures could ever teach them. Consider creating a peaceful corner in your home, not as a place of exile or punishment, but as a sanctuary for recalibration. Fill it with sensory toys, soft pillows, and books. This is a place they choose to go when they feel their lid is starting to flip. Ask them during a calm moment, "Does your body feel like it needs the peaceful corner right now?" This builds self-awareness, which is the very foundation of self-control. When you make this shift, you're not just raising a well-behaved child who follows orders out of fear. You are raising a human being who understands their own heart. You are raising someone who will grow into an adult capable of handling conflict with grace, empathy, and logic. It is much harder work than a timeout. It requires more patience than a lecture ever will. But your child's future mental health and your lifelong relationship with them are worth every ounce of that effort. If this psychological breakdown helped you see your child's behavior through a new lens of empathy and science, I invite you to join our community. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss our deep dives into the developing mind. Comment below with the word CALM if you are making the commitment today to choose connection over control. And if you're struggling with the no phase, be sure to watch our next video on the psychology of toddler defiance. Thank you for being the conscious, dedicated parent your child needs. I'll see you in the next one.